Noma wami uthetha naye kuye yedwa. Kudala ngibona ngiphila kanje, ngibona ngiphila kanje. Kungenxa yothando lwakhe, mehlo wami apholiwe, ndlebe zami zimamele. Noma wami uthetha naye kuye yedwa. Wavutha umlilo namalangabe, wavutha umlilo nangulo mlilo. Wavutha umlilo namalangabe, wavutha umlilo nangulo mlilo. Wavutha umlilo namalangabe, wavutha umlilo nangulo mlilo. Wavutha umlilo namalangabe, wavutha umlilo, wavutha umlilo nangulo mlilo, lilo 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 lilo. Nomlilo lilo 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 lilo. Nomlilo lilo 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 lilo. Nomlilo lilo lilo, whoa. Thando lwakho talimili ngisukumishosha, lentando yakho abangaboni sebeyobona. Mina ngeke ngikwazi ukufakazela omunye umuntu, kodwa ithando lwakho mina ngizotshela bane. Thando lwakho talimili ngisukumishosha, lentando yakho abangaboni sebeyobona. Mina ngeke ngikwazi ukufakazela omunye umuntu, kodwa ithando lwakho mina ngizotshela bane. Nangulo mlilo lilo 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 lilo. Nomlilo lilo 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 lilo. Nomlilo lilo 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 lilo. Nomlilo lilo lilo, whoa. Umlilo namalangabe, wavutha umlilo nangulo mlilo. Wavutha umlilo namalangabe, wavutha umlilo nangulo mlilo. Wavutha umlilo namalangabe, wavutha umlilo nangulo mlilo. Wavutha umlilo namalangabe, wavutha umlilo, wavutha umlilo nangulo mlilo, lilo 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 lilo. Nomlilo lilo 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 lilo. Nomlilo lilo 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 lilo. Hayo mlilo. Dala ngibona ngiphila kanje, ngibona ngiphila kanje. Kungenxa yothando lwakhe, mehlo wami apholiwe, ndlebe zami zimamele. Noma wami uthetha naye kuye yedwa. Kudala ngibona ngiphila kanje, ngibona ngiphila kanje. Kungenxa yothando lwakhe, mehlo wami apholiwe, ndlebe zami zimamele. Noma wami uthetha naye kuye yedwa. Wavutha umlilo namalangabe, wavutha umlilo nangulo mlilo. Wavutha umlilo namalangabe, wavutha umlilo nangulo mlilo. Wavutha umlilo namalangabe, wavutha umlilo nangulo mlilo. Wavutha umlilo sukumishosha lentando yakho abangaboni sebeyobona mina ngeke ngikwazi ukuvakazela omunye umuntu kodwa ithando lakho mina ngizotshela abane ithando lwakho dalimili sukumishosha lentando yakho abangaboni sebeyobona mina ngeke ngikwazi ukuvakazela omunye umuntu kodwa ithando lakho mina ngizotshela abane nangulo mlilo lilo 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 namlilo lilo 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 namlilo lilo 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 namlilo lilo lilo wo haya samlilo namalanga bavutha mlilo nangulo mlilo bavutha mlilo namalanga bavutha mlilo nangulo mlilo wavutha mlilo namalanga wavutha mlilo nangulo mlilo wavutha mlilo namalanga wavutha mlilo nangulo mlilo lilo 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 namlilo lilo 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 namlilo lilo 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 hayo mlilo dala nibona niphila kanje nibona niphila kanje kungenxa yothando lwakhe mehlo wami afolewe ndlebe zami zimamele lomo wami uthetha naye kuye yedwa kudala ngibona ngiphila kanje ngibona ngiphila kanje kungenxa yothando lwakhe mehlo wami afolewe ndlebe zami zimamele lomo wami uthetha naye kuye yedwa wavutha mlilo namalanga wavutha mlilo nangulo mlilo 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 lilo 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 namlilo lilo 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 namlilo lilo 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 namlilo lilo lilo wo haya thando lwakho dalimili ngisukumishosha lentando yakho abangaboni sebeyobona mina ngeke ngikwazi ukuvakazela omunye umuntu kodwa ithando lakho mina ngizotshela abane thando lwakho dalimili ngisukumishosha lentando yakho abangaboni sebeyobona mina ngeke ngikwazi ukuvakazela omunye umuntu kodwa ithando lakho mina ngizotshela abane nangulo mlilo lilo 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 namlilo lilo 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 namlilo lilo 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 namlilo lilo lilo wo haya samlilo namalanga wavutha mlilo nangulo mlilo wavutha mlilo namalanga wavutha mlilo nangulo mlilo wavutha mlilo kuye yedwa. Kudala ngibona ngiphila kanje, ngibona ngiphila kanje. Kungenxa yothando lwakhe, mehlo wami avuliwe, ndlebe zami zimamele. Lomo wami uthetha naye, kuye yedwa. Wavutha umlilo namalangabe, wavutha umlilo nangulo mlilo, wavutha umlilo namalangabe, wavutha umlilo nangulo mlilo, wavutha umlilo namalangabe, wavutha umlilo nangulo mlilo, wavutha umlilo namalangabe, wavutha umlilo, wavutha umlilo. Thando lwakho talimili sukumishosha, lentando yakho abangaboni sebeyobona. Mina ngeke ngikwazi ukufakazela omunye umuntu, kodwa thando lwakho mina ngizotshela bani. Thando lwakho talimili sukumishosha, lentando yakho abangaboni sebeyobona. Mina ngeke ngikwazi ukufakazela omunye umuntu, kodwa thando lwakho mina ngizotshela bani. Nangulo mlilo lilo 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 lilo, nomlilo lilo 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 lilo, nomlilo lilo 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 lilo, nomlilo lilo lilo wo. Haya umlilo namalangabe, wavutha umlilo nangulo mlilo, wavutha umlilo namalangabe, wavutha umlilo nangulo mlilo, wavutha umlilo namalangabe, wavutha umlilo nangulo mlilo, wavutha umlilo namalangabe, wavutha umlilo, wavutha umlilo nangulo mlilo lilo 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 lilo, nomlilo lilo 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 lilo, nomlilo lilo 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 lilo. Ndlebe zami zimamele, lomo wami uthetha naye, kuye yedwa. Kudala ngibona ngiphila kanje, ngibona ngiphila kanje. Kungenxa yothando lwakhe, mehlo wami avuliwe, ndlebe zami zimamele. Lomo wami uthetha naye, kuye yedwa. Wavutha umlilo namalangabe, wavutha umlilo nangulo mlilo, wavutha umlilo namalangabe, wavutha umlilo nangulo mlilo, wavutha umlilo namalangabe, wavutha umlilo nangulo mlilo, wavutha umlilo namalangabe, wavutha umlilo, wavutha imili ngisukuma ishosha lentando yakho abangaboni sebeyobona mina ngeke ngikwazi ukuvakazela omunye umuntu kodwa ithando lakho mina ngizotshela bane ithando lwakho dala imili ngisukuma ishosha lentando yakho abangaboni sebeyobona mina ngeke ngikwazi ukuvakazela omunye umuntu kodwa ithando lakho mina ngizotshela bane nangulomlilo lilo 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 nomlilo lilo 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 nomlilo lilo 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 nomlilo lilo lilo wow haya somlilo namalanga bavutha umlilo nangulomlilo bavutha umlilo namalanga bavutha umlilo nangulomlilo wavutha umlilo namalanga wavutha umlilo nangulomlilo wavutha umlilo namalanga wavutha umlilo nangulomlilo lilo 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 nomlilo lilo 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 nomlilo lilo 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 wavutha umlilo namalanga wavutha umlilo nangulomlilo wavutha umlilo namalanga wavutha umlilo nangulomlilo wavutha umlilo namalanga wavutha umlilo nangulomlilo wavutha umlilo namalanga wavutha umlilo wavutha umlilo nangulomlilo lilo 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 nomlilo lilo 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 nomlilo lilo 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 nomlilo lilo lilo wow haya Thando lwakho dala imili ngisukuma ishosha lentando yakho abangaboni sebeyobona mina ngeke ngikwazi ukuvakazela omunye umuntu kodwa ithando lakho mina ngizotshela bane thando lwakho dala imili ngisukuma ishosha lentando yakho abangaboni sebeyobona mina ngeke ngikwazi ukuvakazela omunye umuntu kodwa ithando lakho mina ngizotshela bane nangulomlilo lilo 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 nomlilo lilo lilo Ndlebe zami zimamele, Noma wami uthetha naye, kuye yedwa. Kudala ngibona ngiphila kanje, kungenxa yothando lwakhe. Mehlo wami apholiwe, ndlebe zami zimamele, Noma wami uthetha naye, kuye yedwa. Wavutha umlilo namalangabe, wavutha umlilo nangulo mlilo, wavutha umlilo namalangabe, wavutha umlilo nangulo mlilo, wavutha umlilo namalangabe, wavutha umlilo nangulo mlilo, wavutha umlilo namalangabe, wavutha umlilo, wavutha umlilo nangulo mlilo, lilo 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 lilo, nomlilo lilo 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 lilo, nomlilo lilo 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 lilo, nomlilo lilo lilo, whoa, higher, ooh, nomlilo. Thando lwakho talimili ngisukuma ishosha, lentando yakho abangaboni sebeyobona. Mina ngeke ngikwazi ukuvakazela omunye umuntu, kodwa ithando lwakho mina ngizotshela abane. Thando lwakho talimili ngisukuma ishosha, lentando yakho abangaboni sebeyobona. Mina ngeke ngikwazi ukuvakazela omunye umuntu, kodwa ithando lwakho mina ngizotshela abane. Nangulo mlilo lilo 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 lilo, nomlilo lilo 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 lilo, nomlilo lilo 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 lilo, nomlilo lilo lilo, whoa, higher. Umlilo namalangabe, wavutha umlilo nangulo mlilo, wavutha umlilo namalangabe, wavutha umlilo nangulo mlilo, wavutha Talimini sukumishosha Intando yako Abangaboni sebeyobona Mina ngeke ngwazi ukufakazela omunye umuntu Kodwa ithando lakho Mina ngizotshela bani Ithando lakho Talimini sukumishosha Intando yakho Abangaboni sebeyobona Mina ngeke ngwazi ukufakazela omunye umuntu Kodwa ithando lakho Mina ngizotshela bani Intando yakho abangaboni sebeyobona Mina ngeke ngwazi ukufakazela omunye umuntu Kodwa ithando lakho Mina ngizotshela bani Ithando lakho Talimini sukumishosha Intando yakho abangaboni sebeyobona Mina ngeke ngwazi ukufakazela omunye umuntu Kodwa ithando lakho Mina ngizotshela bani Nangulomlilo lilo 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 whoa Higher Tumlilo Nangulomlilo Tumlilo na malanga Tumlilo Nangulomlilo simamele noma wami uthetha naye kuye yedwa kudala ngibona ngiphila kanje ngibona ngiphila kanje kungenxa yothando lwakhe mehlo mapholiwe ndlebe zami zimamele noma wami uthetha naye kuye yedwa wavutha umlilo namalangabe wavutha umlilo nangulo mlilo wavutha umlilo namalangabe wavutha umlilo nangulo mlilo wavutha umlilo namalangabe wavutha umlilo nangulo mlilo wavutha umlilo namalangabe wavutha umlilo wavutha umlilo nangulo mlilo lilo 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 nomlilo lilo 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 nomlilo lilo 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 nomlilo lilo lilo thando lwakho talimili ngisukumishosha lentando yakho abangaboni sebeyobona mina ngeke ngikwazi ukufakazela omunye umuntu kodwa thando lwakho mina ngizotshela abane thando lwakho talimili ngisukumishosha lentando yakho abangaboni sebeyobona mina ngeke ngikwazi ukufakazela omunye umuntu kodwa thando lwakho mina ngizotshela abane nangulo mlilo lilo 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 nomlilo lilo 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 nomlilo lilo 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 nomlilo lilo lilo wavutha umlilo nangulo mlilo wavutha umlilo namalangabe wavutha umlilo nangulo mlilo wavutha umlilo namalangabe wavutha umlilo nangulo mlilo wavutha umlilo namalangabe wavutha umlilo wavutha umlilo nangulo mlilo lilo 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 nomlilo lilo 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 nomlilo lilo 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 hayi mlilo dala ngibona ngiphila kanje ngibona ngiphila kanje kungenxa yothando lwakhe mehlo wami apholewe ndlebe zami zimamele noma wami uthetha naye kuye yedwa kudala ngibona ngiphila kanje ngibona ngiphila kanje kungenxa yothando lwakhe mehlo wami apholiwe ndlebe zami zimamele noma wami uthetha naye kuye yedwa wavutha umlilo namalangabe wavutha umlilo nangulo mlilo wavutha umlilo namalangabe wavutha umlilo nangulo mlilo wavutha umlilo namalangabe wavutha umlilo nangulo Dalimini sugumishosha lentando yakho abangaboni sebeyobona mina ngeke ngikwazi ukufakazela omunye umuntu kodwa ithando lakho mina ngizotshela bane thando lwakho dalimini sugumishosha lentando yakho abangaboni sebeyobona mina ngeke ngikwazi ukufakazela omunye umuntu kodwa ithando lakho mina ngizotshela bane namlilo lilo 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 namlilo lilo 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 namlilo lilo 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 namlilo lilo lilo wow haya namlilo nangulo mlilo bavuta mlilo namalanga bavuta mlilo nangulo mlilo bavuta mlilo namalanga bavuta mlilo nangulo mlilo bavuta mlilo namalanga bavuta mlilo nangulo mlilo lilo 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 namlilo lilo 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 namlilo lilo 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 Dala nibona ngiphila kanje nibona ngiphila kanje kungenxa yothando lwakhe mehlo wami aholewe ndlebe zami zimamele noma wami uthetha naye kuye yedwa.
Thank you all for being here today. Before we set the ball rolling, I'll call on Mr. Joseph Kwashi to give us the opening prayer.
Shall we pray? God, our Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day. We thank you for giving us knowledge and your traveling message to meet here this morning. We pray, O God, that you take absolute control over today's activities. In Jesus' name we pray with thanksgiving. Amen.
Thank you very much. Mr. Kwashi, you can sanitize it. We'll now take welcome address from the National Cybersecurity Advisor.
A very good morning to all of you and welcome to this particular session on child online engagement, both in Accra and across the region, to ensure that education, awareness on the risks that the children face on the internet circulated and engaged across every part of this country. Once again, I welcome you for this session and enjoy yourself. Thank you. Estimate about 70% of our school-going children. Very good morning. Children in school, about 70% of them use the internet. It is estimated that on a daily basis we have 19% of our population using the internet. And these are important figures we need to take into consideration. But there are also experiences that are not really, the best for us with respect to the negative aspects of the use of the internet. We are pretty much aware that some of our youth, children, and there are all sorts of risks that they are facing whilst using the internet. There are risks with respect to the contact they establish on the internet. There are risks with respect to the content that they access on the internet, and even some of our own children, the kind of conduct how they conduct themselves on the internet also expose both themselves and others to harm. And that is why we put this session together to ensure that we can share the basic best practices in terms of internet safety practices that we can all adhere to whilst enjoying digitization. But it's also important to point out hold in their hands more than yourself. How do you ensure that they use these devices for the purpose by which those devices were given out? And I think that is one of the main reasons we had to put up this particular conversation, to ensure that we bring expert industry stakeholders to join you, the parents, so that we can hear from both sides of the story. What are the concerns of parents with respect to ensuring that their children follow certain internet safety and best practices at home? We're talking of guardians, we're talking of teachers. How do we parent the children to ensure that they use the internet in a positive way? I think the conversation started 3 years ago with UNICEF, and we have taken this conversation across different parts of the country. But it's the first time we brought parents together, both physically and virtually, to ensure that we deepen the conversation and we address some of the gaps. I must say, last year, more than 40 school children were engaged on this particular matter, and that has increased awareness, leading to some reporting and arrest of a suspect, which is currently also being handled by the law enforcement. We believe that we need to continue this kind of conversation, especially when we bring industry players, experts, but also parents and guardians themselves to interact and share best practices, even for those who do not have the skills to use the computer and guide their children. I believe there are always, neighbors, good neighbors, family friends who can then support the child's transformation with respect to the use of computers. I believe we have huge challenges, and I want to also encourage parents not only to address the issue from the technological angle. I think the social dimension in terms of the trust that we need to build in our own homes will also contribute to how well will our children, have faith in us in terms of sharing some of their negative experiences whilst using the internet. It is challenging. The government is an enabler, and that is why we put this program together, and that is why awareness creation in this area goes on every day. That is why UNICEF has come on board to assist the process. It is difficult, but I believe we can. I want to encourage all of you to get on board and let's consider the protection of Ghanaian child as an ultimate priority. We've brought in a number of experts and stakeholders who will be joining the conversation as we move on. It is a beautiful moment for us to interact, I must say. It's going to be exciting because I know the caliber of experts who are going to move the process forward. And I want to encourage all of you to enjoy the session, contribute, and we will be happy to take the feedback to incorporate into our intervention in this particular space. Once again, I want to thank you for coming and have fun.
Privileged today to have in our midst some distinguished personalities. I will introduce them as we go on, but I will acknowledge some before we start with the remarks. We have in our midst ACP Dr. Gustav Herbert Youngson. He's from the Criminal Investigations Department. We have Mrs. Florence Corte, Acting Director, Department of Children. We also have with us Madam Ivy from the Guidance and Counseling Department. She's the Director at Ghana Education Service. Then we have Mrs. Joyce Odame from UNICEF. Madam Hilda Mensah, also from UNICEF. So as we go on, I'll be acknowledging our major stakeholders in here, but I also take this opportunity on the note of the welcome address from the CSA to also welcome everyone here. Thank you for making it under these circumstances. It's raining quite heavily out there, and we are grateful that you've been able to make it here. Thank you. We'll call on a representative from UNICEF to give us remarks. UNICEF has been a very faithful partner throughout all this. And we'll call on Madam Hilda Mensah to give us remarks from UNICEF.
So good morning to all of you, and a very warm welcome to today's session of the Cybersecurity and Awareness Creation Month. I'm particularly excited today because I'm a parent myself, and all of you are parents as well. And so I'm particularly excited. As Dr. Nkibo Siaku rightly said, parents are the most important stakeholder when it comes to children's digital life, because we are first and foremost the primary gatekeepers. We make a lot of huge influence on our children. And children also tend to listen to their parents when we build the trust. They tend to listen to their parents. Our parents influence the way children behave, the way they conduct themselves, what they do, the school they attend. And now, even on the digital platform, we also do have a huge responsibility to influence what they do on the platform. At the initial point, everyone is excited to provide for our children a digital device to enable them to learn. And COVID-19 even made that more compelling, that all of us were resorting to the use of internet to do one thing or the other. But for children, the primary reason is for them to be able to learn, to connect with their schools. Some of them were having lectures online. And so it becomes more compelling for us to make provision for them to be able to do these things. And so what that means is that while we have the responsibility to provide these things, we also do have the responsibility to even supervise. So most of our homes, let me take it literally, we do keep TVs in our room, in our bedroom, and leave another TV in the hall so that you can resort to the bedroom to watch the TV and do your own private thing while giving the children the space to also watch their own kind of program. The younger ones would go for cartoons. I don't know what the teens will go for, but I'm sure there are interesting programs that also. And of course, some also would even be watching the telenovelas that most of the TV stations are showing now. But somehow we find the space to give them the space to do what they want to do and enjoy it. But when it comes to the internet, it's a game changer, because you cannot just resort to your bedroom and leave them online. Some level of guidance is required. And the primary givers of those guidelines are you, the parents, or is us, the parents. The question then begins, how do we do it? Not all of us are tech savvy, certainly not. And not all of us are even literate. And for even the ones that are most literate and most sophisticated, you will find that those are the ones who even buy the most sophisticated digital devices for their children. And so while I'm literate, I may not be that tech savvy. And so quite a number of parents interested in buy phones, new phones, and give it to their children to even help them do a setup or download an app. And so then already there's a source of worry, because I am the bearer of the phone, but I don't even know how to find my way around it. And I have to rely on my daughter or my son who is in JSS to be able to help me navigate through the phone. And what it means is that then they are going to be navigating a lot more of things that you are clueless about. And so that's the starting point for us to begin to learn as parents. And so could we start by saying that when you have a mobile phone, you begin to explore. Or even when you ask the child to even download the app or whatever you want the child to do, the child begins to take you through it. But more serious is for us to be able to supervise them. Now, COVID is not going to go away apparently for a very long time, but we don't know when. So what it means is that our life online, our virtual life will be spanning over a certain period of time. That demands that all of us become internet savvy at minimum, or tech savvy, just so that we can be able to provide the necessary guidance that our children will need to be able to stay safe online. And we need to also begin to have conversations with them about safety online and risk online, and particularly what they can do to avert the risk. It's very important. And so in doing so, then the supervision becomes very key. But we should also get to know our children. While they are learning, the internet is also influencing their play and their social development. You cannot leave the ability of your children to develop responsibly into their own hands. It is our responsibility to guide them to develop well. Just as we'll guide them physically when we see that they are growing and maturing and becoming adults and connecting with new friends, we will also have that virtual responsibility to ensure that their social development is key. And so let's get curious about who they're interacting with online, who their friends are, what kind of sites are they visiting. But the biggest problem, and maybe probably we, UNICEF and the National Center for the Cybersecurity Center, would have to look at how we can begin to engage parents who are not as literate as some of us are privileged to be, just so that they can also provide some kind of guidance to their children. Because when we sit here and we have these kinds of conversations, sometimes the temptation is to think that everybody is like us, but they are not. And so what kind of content can we begin to develop for the parents who are not so much internet, but then they also begin to understand the risks that the internet poses to our children, and provide the minimum guidance and supervision that they can to their children. That way, collectively, individually, collectively, we will be able to steer a path that will help our children mold a healthier internet life, and all of us will feel okay knowing that our children are behaving responsibly on the internet. I particularly welcome you to today's section. Take keen interest in it, participate, give us information so that we can move on and ensure that we are protecting our children well. So you're welcome once again. Thank you.
I believe we can do better than. Thank you, Madam Hilda. And the key word here is supervision when it comes to parents in this aspect of child protection. On this note, I'll call on Mrs. Florence Isikote, Acting Director, Department of Children, to give remarks on behalf of the Ministry for Gender, Children and Social Protection.
Hello, good morning. It's a pleasure to meet all of you. And on behalf of the Minister, the Deputy Minister, the entire management of the ministry, I bring you warm greetings. And the Minister asked me to just say a few words on her behalf, even though the words are not scripted. I just wanted to start with a poster I saw somewhere once. The poster is about a family that says that somebody came in and stole their computer. The computer is old, very old, but they will give the person $1,000 if only the person allows them a link for them to download the information on the computer. The person can keep the computer because they have the life of the family all on that computer, the pictures, the letters, everything that they do, their receipts, all file in there. So basically, you have a life that is on the computer, stolen by somebody. This is what we are trying to prevent today. That life that we live out there in the cyberspace is real. It's not something that hangs in the air, but it's something that is part of, an extension of us. So there's a need for us to ensure that whatever we put on that computer, when somebody opens it, will not put us in danger. Can you imagine if there are family secrets on this computer? Naked pictures of husband and wife on this computer? Can you imagine what will happen? So cyber hygiene, or keeping a clean mind and a clean posting habit, is something that must be part of our life. We can't have a secret life and have another one somewhere, because we extend the person we are onto the cyberspace. And it's for this reason that we are happy as a ministry to be part of this program that is going to discuss how we all can contribute. Sometimes we seem to think that it's something out there. But I always say that if you will not go telling everybody that you meet, you haven't met the person before, then you start, hey, did you know I ate banku this afternoon? And then I went to the beach this afternoon. And then I went to visit my auntie last week. Will that person think you are not crazy? But we do this all the time in the cyberspace. We make friends with people we don't know and tell them secret things about ourselves that they don't have the right to know. Just want us to draw attention to this fact, that we are who we are, whether we are outside there or on the internet. And we need to be very careful, and we need to be very conscious that children need to know that this world is just an extension. And whatever you put there, it says it doesn't forget. Because now, we know that if you're going to look for a job, there's always an internet search about you. Whatever you did and said about somebody, about how ugly they are, about how disrespectful they were to you, everything you say can be brought back and used against you. So therefore, be careful as children. And parents, let our children know that cyber hygiene is part of our life throughout. It's not one time. We need to always work on it. And we need to build our capacity as parents to ensure that we do not stay behind. Because what is happening on the internet doesn't stay the same. It keeps on changing. Even your phone, you bought it yesterday. Within 1 month, they will tell you that software updating. It always means that something new is happening. And you have to open your eyes and see, why are they updating it? And if you don't want the update, don't accept it. Because sometimes some of these updates give them more power to access your intimate details on the phone. You say yes, and then off they go. Nothing you can say can be used against them. So we need to ensure that as parents,
and teachers. We are building our capacity so that we can help our children stay safe on the internet. So ending here, I just would like to say thank you for coming, and we are hoping the discussions will add up to your repertoire of skills that you need to help our children, and our children too can learn from us and can learn from you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Madam Florence. If you want to know the true meaning of multitasking, just observe the women who mount this podium. I work with them closely. And these are people who send you a message after working hours and ask if you can talk. They know you are not sleeping, but it's just the way. Their commitment to child protection and child online protection from these women is worth emulating. Thank you very much, Madam Florence. We're supposed to be, on the program, we're supposed to be having a message from Ministry of Education, but they are yet to come in. So we'll move to one of our major stakeholders. That's the PTA, Parent Teacher Association. Yesterday, we were here with the children and young people, and you'll be amazed at some of the things. One thing that stuck with me was parents should seize their phones sometimes. So, call on Mr. Isaac Ajetesowa, Charles Ajetesowa, to give us remarks from the PTA.
Good morning, everybody. I thank you for this opportunity that parents should also share their thoughts on how child online can be protected. But before I make the remark, I want us to provoke our thoughts a bit. Because when we talk of parents, like the first and second speakers spoke about, we have some who are privileged to have had higher education, others are down there. So imagine, and this is a thought-provoking question I'm going to place before all of us. Imagine a 15-year-old child whose mother is illiterate and the father is not around. And the uncle overseas has brought him either a tablet or a smartphone. And we know that these children, when they are given money, they also save. So he goes out there with a chip in it and always, browsing and then surfing on. The mother comes around very ignorant and innocent about what the child is doing. But the child somehow will be fidgeting. What do you think will happen to that child? I make this remark in behalf of the national president, Mr. Alexander Yadanso, on behalf of the council, the National Council of Parent-Teacher Associations, NCPTAs. There is no doubt that the digital revolution, though intricate, has become an essential part of human life globally in modern times. In fact, the COVID-19 pandemic has made online or virtual learning even more imperative due to the closure of schools. The importance of the digital age cannot be overemphasized, as it permeates all spheres of human endeavor, be it education, research, science and technology, you name it. Today, such human activities largely depend on the digital revolution, internet, for easy, speedy, and efficient production to serve the world. Recognition of the immense benefits society derives from its usage and the crave for its safe use. Given the threats of cyberbullying and other crimes alluded to above, makes the National Cyber Security Awareness Month 2020 even more relevant, especially when, according to UNICEF, cyber citizens demographics show that a third of internet or online users are children. It is in recognition of this that the government of Ghana, through the Ministry of Communications, is partnering UNICEF, the Council of European Union, the US Embassy, and the rest who were at the launching, to sensitize the publics on a safer digital Ghana. As the nation observes the National Cyber Security Awareness Month, there is everything salient in addressing one of the fulcrum around which cyber citizens in general and child online protection per se can be effectively ensured. Indeed, parents and guardians have a crucial role to play in eradicating cybercrime, such as cyber stalking, cyberbullying, sextortion, and obscene exposures against our children's innocence. However, the plain truth is that in Ghana, many of our parents and guardians lack the technical capacity and competence to guide the children and youth. Hence, this year's Awareness Month campaign is very, very important. For parents and guardians to play their roles effectively with respect to ensuring cyber hygiene, best practices in our homes and immediate environments, they need to be well informed and equipped. Bridging knowledge and awareness gap. How do we do that? Understanding cyber crime and cyber security by parents is key. As such, it must be thorough, must be accurate, and routine. So what we are saying is that parents, as we are being made aware this month, and I hope that we'll plead with the Ministry of Communications, so that just as the COVID-19 was actually approached in terms of television, all the restrictions, the measures were put on TV for everybody to know. This one too can also take or assume that line of what? Awareness creation. There are several steps for a good cyber hygiene. Now, cyber hygiene itself is about training yourself to think proactively about your cyber security, as you do with your personal hygiene. It's the same. However, you can take the following. The experts will actually give us more, but we just want to mention a few so that we'll guide ourselves and be able to monitor our children at home. And some of the steps are to install reputable antivirus and malware software. 2, to use network firewalls and also update software regularly. Set strong passwords. Use multi-factor authentication. Employ device encryption. Backup regularly. Keep your hard drive clean and secure your router. Improved cybersecurity culture and practices among parents will include the following. Managing where they are serving, where the children are serving. How do we manage that? We can do something. Number one, we said we have to be managing where the children will be surfing. Then the internet service providers also offer such free parental control features as the ability to get web activity reports that shows you all the websites your children visit or attempt to visit. Also, you can check out the sites your kids have visited and block specific sites or types of sites you do not want them to visit. 3, create unique profiles for different family members with individualized online usage limits. This can be useful if you have children of different ages. 4, block access to certain web tools, such as instant messaging, gaming, chat rooms, and message boards, allowing parents to keep better track of what their children are saying and to whom. 5, remotely manage your accounts with the ability to change parental control settings from any computer with web access, whether in or outside the home. And view your children's online activities as they happen with real-time web tracking features. Allow young web users to request for permission to visit unauthorized websites for an adult to approve. Receive, that's number 8, receive a tamper control alert if someone other than you tries to change the control settings. Set up timer that limits the amount of time users can spend online. For us as parents, we need to somehow and sometimes be a bit flexible with our children. So how do we do this? So constant education. We need to educate them constantly. Another thing that we can do is to what? Install security apps for easy monitoring of our children's time spent online. Every parent ought to be concerned about the time that your child spends online and begin to what? Question. 3, monitoring children's online activities. Although some parents may not like the idea of spying on their children, I don't call it spying, but somehow, we need to check their browsing history so that we know exactly what they do when they go online. Number 5, we need to be aware of cyberbullying. Our innocent children may not be aware of what cyber bullies are, and innocently, whilst they are unaware, they cash in and do all sorts of things. By the time you realize the children are meeting them somewhere you yourself may not be aware of. 7. And number 6, we need to limit their time. Limit their time. You need to have devices out in plain sight. Sometimes, if the device is in your bedroom or in the children's bedroom, they'll go and hide there. You may not always be frequenting there, and they may be doing certain things that may harm them. Even though to them it is pleasurable, in the end, will harm them. Hide your personal passwords and build trust. Very key. Build trust with your children. Let your children know the reason why you are monitoring them. You are actually offering some sort of advice to them as to why they shouldn't do A or Z. In conclusion, we're saying that it is crucial that parents and guardians will endear themselves to making child online protection a priority, and as a result, bridge the knowledge and awareness gap in order to be in position to manage children online activities. In this direction, access management is critical as it takes two broad forms: parental control softwares and antivirus programs. Keep best cyber hygiene practices and make your children safe online. I thank you very much for hearing us.
Thank you, Mr. Charles Ajetesowa. And just as he said, once you compromise your personal hygiene, there's no way you should compromise cyber hygiene. And with the points he gave, Mr. Ajetesowa, some of the children will tell you we can clear our history when you interact with them. So the fundamental thing is you need to know your child, because some of them are smarter than you think. But once you build that trust in a relationship with them, you know what you do. Some will even tell you, well, my mother or father knows my account password, but I have another account that they don't know about it. Some use names that you can never even trace to them. So you just need to know your child and build that trust with them. Thank you very much. To put our conversation, there will be a panel discussion, and to put that into perspective, we're going to have a presentation to further enlighten us, because there's a lot of information going around with respect to cyber hygienic practices, and because of the nature of the cyberspace, things change by the second, and we always need to update our knowledge. Once we are working with devices, once we are using the internet, and especially in this era of COVID, that the only thing I can say we can do is probably bath and eat online. We virtually do everything on there. So we'll call on Mrs. Joyce Odame, the Child Protection Officer with UNICEF, to take us through what the reality is.
Good morning, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. It's a pleasure to be here this morning and to share some thoughts with you. I want to acknowledge the earlier speakers. Indeed, they've done most of the things I was going to do here. They've said a lot of them. So this session is just to put our conversation in context. And I must say that I am doing this presentation not because I'm an expert when it comes to technology. I may not understand how it works, but there are a few things for sure. I am a parent. I also use technology, and I am aware of the numerous advantages or uses or benefits of technology. I'm equally aware of the risks that it poses to our children and the challenges that we have to confront with when it comes to parenting children in this age. So this morning, it is a conversation we have started, and I'm just going to continue from where the earlier speakers left off. Most of the points, even though have been said, it is just for emphasis and to set the stage for the next main section of the program, where you have the opportunity to delve into details and share thoughts and ideas on how we can effectively parent our children in times like these. So the outline, we are going to look at the objectives of the section, the context, the risks, and some of the strategies. And the last speaker outlined a number of them. So we'll go through some of them, and then I'll bring my presentation to a close. So the objective of the section is to provide an overview of what children and young people do online. Globally, and even when it comes to Ghana, what do our children do online? It is also to discuss the risks and opportunities that we have, and then what are some of the strategies that as parents we can use to support our children better, to use the technology in a way that will help them to achieve their fullest potential. So globally, 1 in 3 children, or 1 in 3 internet users are children under the age of 18 years. And I found this quote very real. It says, we grew up with the internet. I mean, the internet has always been here with us. But the grown-ups, like some of us, are like, wow, the internet appeared, while it is perfectly normal for us. Recently, my children went to spend some holidays with my brother, and we just realized how dependent we are on them to help us navigate certain things using our devices and then using technology. So indeed, some of us were born before computer, some of us came along with it, but for some of the children, even from conception to the time, they grew up, they have known or they have been exposed to the use of the internet. These are a few statistics that we would want to go through when it comes to Ghana. Our population is above 30 million, a little over 30 million. However, mobile phone connections are more than even the population, because some of us use 2 or 3 SIMs. Others even they have for all the networks. So nearly 40 million people have mobile connections. And then the internet users is over 14 million. And then when it comes to active social media users, it's about 6 million. Can we have the next slide? And when it comes to device ownership, over 80% of the population have access to some mobile phones and all the categories of the devices that are used. You can see the percentages there. So we are quite very active when it comes to the use of devices, the use of technology. Can we go to the next slide? And then this slide is something that really surprised me the first time I saw it. When it comes to the global ranking in terms of social media usage, Ghana is, when we take the top 10 countries, Ghana is within the top 10 countries that are very active when it comes to social media users. And then we are among the first 3 African countries within the top 10. So it shows how active we are. We cannot belabor this point. We use technology for a gamut of things: shopping, learning, streaming, so many other things. And I must acknowledge that this presentation is inspired by the ITU guidelines that was recently launched, and also other COP sessions run by stakeholders within the space. So don't be surprised if you've seen some of the slides before, but it is very good for us to set the stage for our discussion. In 2017, UNICEF conducted a study on online practices among children in Ghana. Just for us to understand the context, how children use technology, what are their challenges, to inform us on the interventions that we can, implement to address the challenges that young people are confronted with when it comes to the use of the internet. And that study was conducted across the entire of Ghana. Over 2,000 children all over the then 10 regions were interviewed. So it is a very solid report. 7 out of 10 of the children that were interviewed indicated that they used the internet to learn, which was very good and very heartwarming, encouraging, because most of our children resort to the internet to facilitate their learning. And recently, when we were hit by COVID-19, it became a very important resource for our children to access education. 4 out of 10 of the children that we interviewed indicated that they have seen sexual images while using the internet, and that is quite concerning. And then 2 out of 10 said they have met someone physically that they met online. So the relationship started online, but then some of them would take it up from online environment to the physical space to meet the person, somebody they had never known or met before. And one of our stakeholders actually drew my attention to that. He said, when you go to Accra Mall, you see people standing there. They are people that they have just spoken on phone or met online, and they are trying to meet up. Then you see them talking, oh, me na me shirt there orange, no, me shirt trouser black, oh, me na me shirt t-shirt red, no. It means that in actual fact, our young people take their online relationship to the real world. And we are all aware that this can cause some problems for them. We are all aware of this issue about a young boy who met a relationship that started on Facebook, and then they met. That case was a classical example of how dangerous these things can become. And then 3 out of 10 children said they have actually had experiences that bothered them online. So in the course of using the internet or surfing online, they have some experiences that bothered them. It means that they have unpleasant encounters while they were using the internet. Now, the type of risk that children are exposed to can be put into 3 broad categories. We look at the content. The risk of they accessing harmful content is there. The risk of somebody contacting them, an adult pretending to be a child, or in several circumstances contacting somebody that may pose a risk for them, is also there. And then the children themselves, their own conduct can also pose a risk, because some of them bully their colleagues online. So the risks that children are exposed to can be put into these broad categories as outlined in this slide. And this should inform us on how we should engage and support our children to be very good citizens when they go online. Now, let's take some steps back. I think when we talk about technology, in the past, you could only have a few affluent members or neighbors who have television that you will go and then watch Osofudazi in their rooms and all that. This was how best we experienced technology. Those of us who grew up in the 70s, 60s, I think this was the best, experience of technology. It's a TV with people crowded watching. But now let's look at the situation. In 2005, when Pope Benedict was being, initiated, you could see from the audience, it is just one person that has some phone with a camera trying to capture the moments. But fast forward to 2013, look at the hall when Pope Francis was being initiated. You could see that tells us how we are advancing when it comes to technology. Now let's look at the now and the future. This one, I believe the panelists will delve very deep into it. But then we are going to have smart cities, smart hospitals. Today, even you can sit in your room and you can do a lot of things. I was telling one of my colleagues, I never realized we could even work effectively from home until we were hit with COVID. Most of the things that make me drive all the way from Kaswa to Cantonment, in the corner of my bedroom with a device enabled with internet, I was able to do so many things. And this is where we are going to. And so if the world is moving at this pace, and we have children to nurture, to also be able to fit into such a world, then you and I have a lot to do. We owe them a lot to equip them to be very active in the future. And so maybe I'm praying that I will live to see such a smart future, where even my kitchen and everything will be programmed that I would just say, press, and then my food will be ready, my kitchen will be clean and all that. I believe we will get there one day. So this is the future. But of course, this also poses a lot of burden on us as parents. And the last speaker acknowledged, most of all the three speakers acknowledged that not all parents are tech savvy. We may not have all the skills. Our children know more than we do. So how can we support them and equip them in moments like this? It's a huge burden. But for me, my joy is that we have initiated a conversation. We may not know it all, but then by discussing and learning from each other what works, what doesn't work, we'll be better equipped to play our role as parents. I think what children do online, our research, discovered that they visit virtual worlds, they play games, they text, they post videos, they download music, they do research, they learn. These are all the things that our children do online. But inherent in these activities are the risks, because children are very curious. You see them going off, even when they were assessing their lessons during the COVID, through they were having the virtual lessons. Sometimes they are in class, but you see them going to other sides to watch video or cartoons, or they get distracted a lot. That is why they need our support to survive in moments like this. These are some of the popular platforms or apps that they use, they access. Facebook came up on top, WhatsApp, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube. The thing is that you as a parent may not be using all these apps, but it will be good for you to familiarize yourself with these apps so that you can support them. So the moment has come. You cannot hide behind, I was born before computer. Yes, you were born before computer, but you are parenting children born with computer. So we need to really up our game. We cannot apply the 18th or 19th century skills. It will not work because our children are smarter, and so we also need to be smarter to be able to support them to, grow up to achieve their full potential. I mean, back in those days, you see children looking for meaning of words in dictionary. Today, on a click of a button, they would find the word, and not just text, it comes with pictures and videos. So imagine them typing a certain word like sex. I mean, you can imagine the wealth of information that they will be bombarded with. And sometimes this is their feeling because they were not expecting, feedback from the search they were doing. So yes, it's all part of growing up. But then that is why you and I have a role to play, to be able to even support them in moments like this, when they encounter, they are, are bombarded with information that they were not expecting. So this is some of the things that we can do. As I said earlier, I'm not an expert in when it comes to technology, but even if you are not an expert, you can find support from neighbors, from friends, from colleagues that are better than you are in these areas. At least on Monday, when we had the engagement with the telcos, I heard from one partner that even some institutions filter the kind of information their colleagues can access when they are using their network. I don't know how it will work for individual parents, but that is why we have this space. The experts are here. We will discuss them and they can tell us how these things can be done. But then at the device level, you can also, block or use certain controls to help your child not to access certain inappropriate content. It is doable. You may not know how to do it. I have on so many occasions, consulted friends or colleagues who know how to do it, and they've taught me how to do it. So you don't need to know it all. You can always ask people to help you to do it so that you'll be able to play your role effectively as a parent. But then, the network, your child will not always use your internet through the service provider you have, customized in a way that certain information may not be accessible. If the child is using the Wi-Fi or the network from another environment, what you have filtered, your child can get access to it. Even at the device, sometimes they use the devices of their friends, and not all parents may be like you and I, who would want to do due diligence and do certain things on the devices of our children. So, for me, this is the part that is very key and very important that we should pay more attention to. Let's, at the human level, let's have some dialogue, let's build the trust, let's engage with our children. Then when we are in their world, even when they do what they are not supposed to do, they will come back and confess to you. Mommy, when you were not there, let me confess, I did this and this and that, and then you use it as an opportunity to, tell the child what to do and what not to do, and even boost their confidence not to do that again. But then if you go like you've put all the necessary things in place, as one of the earlier speakers said, they will outwit you because they are smarter. Sometimes they even support me to get certain things done. So if I want to outsmart them, it will not work. So let's build that kind of relationship with our children. Next slide, please. So let's have a conversation with them. Be open and be direct. For some of us, some topics are like harsh topics, we don't talk about it. The time of covering things is past. If you don't tell them, they will learn, Uncle Google will tell them, or their friends will tell them. So it's better to be open with your children and talk about all, be ready to talk about all topics, all subjects. If they ask you the question and at that moment you are not ready, be honest and tell them, okay, let me reflect on it, and we'll have another time to discuss it. Then you go and equip yourself. You call the Auntie Florence, you call Madame Laratus, and then they'll say, I have this issue? How should I deal with you? And then they would support you to get the necessary bullet to arm yourself to go and face your child. I do that a number of times. I remember the first time my daughter, she was about 4 or 5 years. They were having this Christmas play, and I think she was playing the role of Mary. So they said she was Virgin Mary. So she asked me, Mommy, who is a virgin? What is a virgin? I mean, I was not ready for that conversation, so I was jittery. I said, oh, we'll talk about it. I called another colleague who have teenagers who is more experienced and said, hey, my daughter was asking me this question, though. How should I go about it? And she provided me with some, apport to go and then come back as a mother and then engage her. So you may not have all the answers, but feel free to ask around, get support, and do what you are supposed to do. So educate yourself. Find space, explore, ask the questions, and get some basic, information, facts to enable you to play your role as a parent. The parental controls, we've talked about them. If you don't know how to use them, ask, seek support, and you get it. Then it is important that you set some ground rules and apply them. Even in the offline environment, when your child is going out, your teenager is going out, you set some rules, come back by 7 p.m. Don't say, so those rules also apply when we go, we are using the digital space. Let's talk to them. They cannot stay on their devices 24/7. It is not healthy. So set some rules. And if they are broken, use some positive reinforcement to, get them back online. Yesterday, the young people were telling us, you can seize our phones. Yes, I do it a lot. Sometimes if it is going beyond, I take it. Okay, you will not use it for this period. And then they are able to comply, and then gradually we build that responsible behavior around the use of these things. Friend and follow them, but don't stalk. Because if they get the sense that you are stalking them, that is why they will even delete their history. They'll clear it. You will not see it. Oh, it's clear. And you think your child is doing all the right things. But for all you know, they are hiding things from. So be open. Let them know you are interested in what they are doing online. Your role is to support them. And once you build that trust, even when they go wayward, they will come back and confess. So let's just try to cultivate that relationship with our children. And also discuss the implications of posting images online. This is serious because it breaks my heart when I see the young people posting certain things online. Maybe some of them may not know, but let's play our role by telling them the implications of this. I remember last year when the team was going around to engage the senior high school students. One of the children asked a question, and that kept me thinking. He said, so what if the things that I've posted, what can I do about them? And then he said, well, we can help you pull it down, but the internet doesn't forget. If somebody already has it, the potential of it coming back is great. Then one child also said, then these things that you are telling us at SHS, you should have told us when we were in JHS. It means that we should start the engagement much, much earlier, because you could see when you tell them that, oh, there is nothing you can do about those images, then you can see the disappointment in their faces. It means that they have posted things there that they now regret. So let's engage them. Let them know that the internet doesn't forget. That is how Madame Florence put it. The internet doesn't forget. Once they understand the implications, they'll be more careful. And we parents too. Even the things that we post about our children, the funny things they are doing, would they like people to access these images in the future when they are vying to be presidents and MPs? So it has a long-lasting implication. So let's try and engage them, tell them about it. Explore with them, be in their world, sit with them. Oh, what are you browsing? What are you learning? Go through with them. Once they know you are with them, then their confidence about using it positively also gets higher, and then it's possible that they'll do the right things even if you are not there. What I tell my children is that, well, mommy will not always be there, but there's a bigger eye that sees you every time, whether I'm there or not. So let's try to build these values in our children. And the last speaker spoke a lot about these things, installing firewall, antivirus software on devices. Yes, if we would be very prudent to secure our physical, homes and houses, then the devices where our next, part of our lives are on should also be secure. So we should invest in some of these things so that we can protect. And above all, we should be doing the right things. Children learn by example. So we as parents should be a good role model for our children. If you are always on your phone, your child is talking to you, you are not even looking, doing the eye contact, always texting, responding on your devices, they are learning from you. Even at meal times, daddy has the phone here, mommy has the phone, everybody has they are sitting in the car, they are not even talking. Please, these things are meant for us to use to make our life better, not to enslave us. So we as parents need to also set the right standards for our children to emulate. And so to conclude my presentation, we need to be smart. And this acronym, the S stands for staying safe online, but not giving out our personal information. I think Madam Flores emphasized a lot on this. Meeting up with someone you've just met online is just not good enough. Let's, engage with our children and let them know that meeting somebody, some people even pretend they are young people. You go and see that you've actually met an old man, somebody who is the age of your grandfather or your father. So it is dangerous. It can cause problems. So let's tell our children. And we shouldn't just accept files and requests. Everybody, every friend request you see on Facebook, accept. People you do not even know. Please, let's educate our children that the fact that somebody is a friend of your friend doesn't mean you should befriend that person, because you may not even know that person well enough that you want to be associated with. And then, not every information online is reliable. We should let our children know this so that they can always come back to check with a trusted adult or with somebody who knows better than, or that's somebody who is well informed about that subject, just to be sure that the information is from a good source and it is true. And then, yes, sometimes they go wayward, the unexpected happens, but then we should let them build the trust of telling an adult. The research that we did, one key finding was that we asked the children, so when you have an uncomfortable experience, who would you talk to? Majority of them said they would talk to their parents. 2 out of 10 said they would talk to their parents or siblings. So it means that parents, our children are not trusting us enough. They trust their friends more than us. So we should try and cultivate that relationship to enable our children come to us and tell us whatever happens to them, whether offline or online. And these are the contacts that we have any issue. We have these points of contact available. Thank you so much for listening to me. God bless you.
Let's give you another round of applause. Thank you. Thank you, Madam Joyce. I work quite closely with her, and she always tells me, sometimes it gets difficult. She'll go like, my dear, this goes beyond just work. It's service to humanity. So with the passion she exhibited whilst doing her presentation, that's what she attaches to what she's doing. And the faceless nature of what children go through online, the abuse, the exploitation, and the borderless nature of the cyberspace is what makes this very scary, if I should put it that way. And I hope we've imbibed a lot. We'll take a health break for 15 minutes. After that, we'll have a panel discussion to further explore what the options should be. So we'll take a break now for 15 minutes and we'll continue. Thank you very much.
after you gone. The world is coming to one end. All the signs are so clear. The world is coming to one end. Oh, slowly but sure. Now you're going to realize you're destroying this earth. Well, now you're going to realize you're destroying sweet earth. Why can't you do it for your children too? If you all can give it hand, we all can do so much. Your mama, to create my greener world. Children of the future. Children of the future. Save it for my children. Save the children of the world. You can fly to the moon. Fly away. You can fly to the sky. Oh. Fly away. In the end, when you come down, things are still the same. The same people. The same faces. The same earth. Oh. The same planet. So why can't you make this place the only place for mankind? Save this world.
Yes, they from some. Oh, there. Hello. Hello. I said that. What's your name now? I never.
Sell this world. Children of the future. Children of the future. Children of the future. Save the children. Children of the future. Children of Semi-boom. Say, oh, do you, not of you. We serve. All we need, my whole idea grouping. All do you know, when you miss it. You walk out of your soon. Yana is a movie child. I do when it's on the cut of you. I'm not on the way you. All do you say, I'm running, yes, sir. All the time, all the Chinese, all the Chinese, all the Chinese, all the Chinese, all the mommy knew me and you said, but just tell me, me, I worry. And my entire Ain't you talking me back where you need? And you know Joby no job. We decided we do. So they will have no high never stop. We are going to say we are showing to her. So they will be so man. Although you will have so you. And now root me on the side. All the time. All the time. All the time. All the time. Shemi Bobby, Shemi Bobby, Shemi Bossa wanting me ave. Shemi Bobby, Shemi Bobby, Shemi Bossa wanting me ave. Shemi Bobby, Shemi Bobby, Shemi Bossa wanting me ave. Shemi Bobby, Shemi Bobby, Shemi Bossa wanting me ave. Tremise, all the tremise, all the tremise, all the tremise. Talimiling sugumishosha lentando yakho abangaboni sebeyobona mina ngeke ngikwazi ukuvakazela omunye umuntu kodwa ithando lakho mina ngizotshela bane ithando lwakho talimiling sugumishosha lentando yakho abangaboni sebeyobona mina ngeke ngikwazi ukuvakazela omunye umuntu kodwa ithando lakho mina ngizotshela bane nangulomlilo lilo 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 nomlilo lilo 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 nomlilo lilo 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 nomlilo lilo lilo wo haya somlilo namalanga bavuthomlilo nangulomlilo bavuthomlilo namalanga bavuthomlilo nangulomlilo bavuthomlilo namalanga bavuthomlilo nangulomlilo bavuthomlilo namalanga bavuthomlilo bavuthomlilo nangulomlilo lilo 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 nomlilo lilo 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 nomlilo lilo 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 Dala ngibona ngiphila kanje ngibona ngiphila kanje kungenxa yothando lwakhe mehlo wami afolewe ndlebe zami zimamele lomo wami uthetha naye kuye yedwa kudala ngibona ngiphila kanje ngibona ngiphila kanje kungenxa yothando lwakhe mehlo wami afolewe ndlebe zami zimamele lomo wami uthetha naye kuye yedwa bavuthomlilo namalangabe bavuthomlilo nangulomlilo bavuthomlilo namalangabe bavuthomlilo nangulomlilo bavuthomlilo namalangabe bavuthomlilo nangulomlilo bavuthomlilo namalangaba bavuthomlilo bavuthomlilo nangulomlilo lilo 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 nomlilo lilo 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 nomlilo lilo 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 nomlilo lilo lilo wo haya thando lwakho talimiling sukumishosha lentando yakho abangaboni sebeyobona mina ngeke ngikwazi ukuvakazela omunye umuntu kodwa ithando lakho mina ngizotshela bane thando lwakho talimiling sukumishosha lentando yakho abangaboni sebeyobona mina ngeke ngikwazi ukuvakazela omunye umuntu kodwa ithando lakho mina ngizotshela bane nangulomlilo lilo 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 nomlilo lilo 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 nomlilo lilo 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 nomlilo lilo lilo wo haya somlilo namalanga bavuthomlilo nangulomlilo bavuthomlilo namalanga bavuthomlilo nangulomlilo
children listen to, and we make a lot of influence on their lives. And so, what can we do? What we can do is to ensure that the purpose for which our children are using their devices, first and foremost, are adhered to. And so, now that most schools are at home, one of the primary focus is for you to ensure that the children are using whatever devices they have to learn, to study, to better their knowledge and their skills. That's the first and foremost primary objective of you allowing your child to use any device at home for. And then we need to also supervise. What time are they supposed to be using the internet? Or what time are they supposed to even be having access to the device? Those times must be clearly spelled out so that the child is aware that learning and to be using the device. And then we as parents also to say we have to monitor. So if their children are supposed to be in Zoom class from 8 to 12 noon, you have to put a mechanism in place to ensure that they are really in the Zoom class learning. Let me stop here.
Thank you. Madam Flores, I think we just do it in the order you're sitting for now. And then when we go into the discussion, it can be.
Thank you very much, and a good afternoon to everyone once again. With involving parents in cybersecurity, sometimes we have the tendency of trying to separate these two worlds, that cyber is different from this one that we are in. And in the statement that I made, I tried to bring our attention to the fact that it's just an extension of ourselves in a different dimension. So if you're a parent, then it means that that dimension is something that you must take part in. You cannot afford not to parent your children there, because it's a continuous process that now by age 4 is even too old. Because I've seen a child being carried at the back of the mother who knows exactly where to press on the tablet to go for Candy Crush. He knows exactly where to press, go for Candy Crush and start playing. When he's tired, he'll close it and go for Subway Surfer and start playing. And at that age, I just wondered how he's able to do it. He knows the exact music he wants and where they are. Know how to skip music he doesn't like. A 2-year-old boy who doesn't like to hear gospel. He always likes to listen to Shatawale. And I was just surprised. And so I'm asking myself, the way he's able to flip like that and flip like that, and what is saving the mother is because the tablet is not connected to the internet. So imagine it's a tablet that connects to the internet. What can he access at that age? And what does he know at that age? And that's what we need to think of as parents, that as we allow children to have access to these devices, the protection must start from the age that you are allowing them. Because if your child is savvy and start using the tablet maybe around 2 or 3 years, then definitely you know that whatever tablet you give to that child shouldn't be connected to the internet. Because when they are scrolling through and things like that, sometimes you put them down, you are not there. And whatever they are seeing, understanding and processing may not make sense at that point. So age appropriately, you just have to know that now, as at this age, is accessing the internet. Then we need to talk about cyber hygiene. We need to talk about being smart. Because if you're not able to do that, then you leave your child to suffer when one day something happened to them. That time is so late and there's nothing that you can do. So you just have to be involved right from the start and grow with them as they expand their use of the internet.
Sure, thank you.
So, hello. Hello. All right. So, I want to start by saying that the internet happens to be a platform that gives a lot of opportunities to young people, better than what we had when we were growing up. It's big because it actually has a platform that allowed them to have resources for education, for entertainment, for collaboration we didn't have. Now, the same resource available to us is also available to anybody out there as a cyber criminal. Now, what I've realized in my work as somebody who talks to parents is that anytime a child is attacked, the child will be giving signals to the parents, but three things are happening. Parents are not listening, they are not watching, and they are not also feeling. Okay, there are so many changes happening in our homes. Parents are not looking at it. And the reason is this. Most of us see our children as the god of technology in our home. And the moment your child becomes the god of technology in your home, you have lost him, in my experience. Your child is savvy because they are digital natives. They were born into that world. They understand the world better than you do. It does not make them gods because they need your collaboration to fight the battles in the cyberspace. And that is why I think that it's critical for parents to start understanding the dynamics within parenting in the 21st century as against the copy and paste parenting our fathers did. They were not having issues because whatever their mothers did to them, they can do the same thing to their children. Our times are different because the times are changing rapidly and different from what we encounter. And that's the reason why I think that parents should be interested in navigating the platform with their children. So I'll introduce.
You hold that thought there. I'll come back to you.
Yeah, so I think I want to look at this from another angle of the parents that are probably not here. So parents in the rural, urban communities and parents in the villages. Because a lot of the time, their kids are exposed to the internet and they have no idea. Perhaps they don't even understand or speak English. So and they have a lot of challenges because when we interact with the grassroots level, they always ask, what can I do? So what they would usually be able to do to help that you and I could carry the message across is really having a trusted person, whether it is a family or a friend, but somebody, an adult who they can trust, who is exposed to the internet, who can serve as the supervisor role for their children as they're exposed to the internet. So this is very critical because if you and I are aware today that we need to do a lot of supervision, which has been said and cannot be overemphasized, what can such parents do? Because even if they are looking, they have no idea what is happening on the computer or on the tablet or the phones that their kids are exposed to. So it's just to add up to say that they could also have another person that can serve as the supervisory role for them.
Thank you. I'll come back to you, Mr. Arthur. Over 1.5 billion children globally are out of school. Schools, parents, other institutions are resorting to online engagement, online school e-learning and all that. Parents are resorting to smart toys and all that to keep their wards busy. How safe is this? And what can parents do to ensure that with all these wonderful interventions, because of the era we find ourselves in, children can still get what they can get from it and still be safe whilst using these interventions?
Okay, so let me take it from this angle. A loaded gun, okay, it's a mere toy. It's a stick. But the day that gun is triggered, it ceases to be a toy. That's number one. Number two is that a car on a motorway going 150 kilometers per hour without a brake, whoever is driving it is a dead man waiting. All right. And that is the fundamental thing I wanted to say. Anytime you give a device to a child, you have introduced a digital highway or you have given a gun that is loaded, especially if the device is connected to the internet. Now, that means that when the child is holding that device, the child should be trained to know when to trigger and what not to trigger, because he can kill himself without devices. And we know people are actually causing self-harm and all of that with these devices. So that's number one. Number two is that anytime, any device you hold in your hand, the mechanism in there to cause what we call parental control in any device you're having, whether it's a phone or a tablet or a PC, the manufacturers have actually embedded an actor in there to protect whoever is using it. Now, everybody who is actually running those platforms wants you to use the default features. What it means is that it doesn't want you to activate those private settings. So normal device come with a lot of openness because they want you to connect it and use the device more time. So I think the parents should look at, ask questions, how we can activate those parental controls. So let me give you an example. Your child is home and is using Zoom platform for school. And most of you, maybe the child is in the care of a house girl or a house boy. You are at work. How will I be able to know what my child is doing if they are actually doing the Zoom classes or something? So Google introduced a tool, called Google Family Link, that allow you to install it on your child device and have a version of it on your own device, and then monitor remotely in real time what your child is doing on the device. That is, so you can actually be at work and then set the time the child should be on the platform for 2 hours. After the Zoom meeting, he's blocked out of the platform. So there are tools available. Normal things like if even your Android application, I see many parents who are driving your cars and your child is bored. You drop the phone to them for them to use to play computer games, and they can go so many places. Even the Android device, there are simple parental control architecture in here that you can activate to make sure if the child is actually trying to even open an app that is 80 years rated, when the child is maybe about 6 years, he will not be able to do unless he forgot that password. So there are a number of tools available for your kids, but you have to take your time as a parent, whether by support of somebody or yourself, to go to the private settings to restrict what and what they can't use and what they can use. And that's the first step you have to take. Okay, so I'll come to the second leg. The second leg is that when we come to the digital space, I realized that from the UNICEF report that Auntie Joyce was talking about, there was something that was intriguing. It said 20% of the children that were contacted or were surveyed said that they reported their issues to their parents. 20%. What if that all internet users in Ghana, 80% of them don't talk to their parents? That's number one. So what happens at home that will make somebody who has issue online will not go to the first point with the parents? What happens normally is that when you see a groomer online, someone wants to groom your child to become a pedophile, groom your child to become anything, what he will do first is to block or destroy the relationship between the child and the trusted adult. That's what they do. Everybody, whether you are grooming to become a porn addict or sexting or sextortion, the first thing any cyber criminal will do is make sure that whoever you trust, he creates a fear between that child and whoever they trust. So there is a lot of work parents must do in terms of building a relationship that when the child is hit and they come back, the reaction of the parent, some parents cannot even stand it, like your child has actually shared a new picture out there and it's on social media. How will you really relate to the child? Like, how will you deal with the issue? The way you will handle it will tell the person, okay, next time I can come home or I can go somewhere else. And that is where we can actually take it from the 2 points I was saying.
Thank you very much. Before I go, Asma, I'll come with what Mr. Arthur said. It goes into the psychological aspect of all these things. But I want you to base your submission on, does technology have a strong educational foundation? And does it encourage creativity?
Well, yes, it does encourage creativity. As much as we're talking about the negative effects that it has, it does encourage. I'm looking at my own children. In recent time that I had to allow them have a tablet because I never did. If they needed anything to do with the research, they always use a centralized computer where they have access to the internet and I'm right behind or their father is right behind. But in recent times, they had to turn all their activities via Zoom and such. So they were exposed to that. And what I noticed was that as much as I was putting all the controls that I could within my limits, they were learning new things, because they would share to me, "Mommy, have you seen this before?" Like new things with regards to artwork. Teachers were sending YouTube videos, and before they watch the video, I'll first have to watch that video and make sure that the content was okay, even though I trusted the teachers, but I needed to do a second look at it. Seeing about it during lessons. So yes, it does expose them, but it's important. As much as it opens up their creativity, it would also have some negative implications to it, because you want to be sure what you want your child to do. You are grooming your child, so you want to be very vigilant in whatever creativity, whatever you are allowing them to, because as children, they are very curious. They are open to learning any and everything that they are exposed to. We always say in the local language, they are just like monkey watch, monkey do. So as much as you allow them the exposure, then they are definitely going to consume that information. So yes, as much as we want them to be open and be creative to learn and understand, we need to keep the limits to which environment we expose them to.
Thank you. Madam Joyce. Madam Florence. Most parents, you keep hearing most parents say, "I was born before computer. I don't understand how these things work." And you also move with the cohort that we deal with as children, even though the higher bracket, those in the teen bracket, don't want to be called children, they want to be called young people. How do you talk to these teenagers? Because most of the complaints that come through the point of contact is usually within that age bracket, the teen age. Recently, there was a 14-year-old who had been interacting with someone on Facebook, and it got to a point where the person asked for a nude picture, and he thought he was being smart. He sent the nude picture without his head, sent it to the person, forgetting that he's giving a lot of information to this person. And this person, who happens to be, he was thinking was his age mate, happens to be someone way older than him, now goes further, digs with the information he's giving him, gets his real picture, cuts off the head and puts it on this nude picture, and is now using it to extort money from him. So for these teenagers, how do we talk to them about spending so much time on the internet and how they should manage it?
Thank you very much, Madam Moderator. Such things, you just don't know what to say and know what to think. Maybe I'll borrow Lewin's word. I can't think far. Because I keep on asking whether maybe we are not expanding with our message the way we're supposed to do, or we know if you be a mensa, no matter what you do, some people would like to try and see what will happen. But the analogy I always use is that you will not ever get out of your house and stand naked on the street. You will not do that. Everybody will think you are going mad. You take 1 or 2 steps, somebody will just grab you and put in a taxi and take you to asylum. But I don't know why we feel comfortable to do that on the internet. And that's what normally we meet girls, we tell them, things you will not do, any picture that you post, that when your mother sees will not like it, then you know it's bad picture. Don't even post it. And don't even take it for you to have even a record of it on your memory card. Because people have things they can do with memory card and recover some things that you have deleted. So things that you will not do physically, don't do on the internet. And that's what I think we should let our girls know. And it also always boils down to an interest by parents in what our children are doing. No matter what, that's the characteristics of the girls who girls and boys who are taken advantage of, you will see a common denominator among them. Either nobody is paying attention to them one bit in the real world. Mothers don't have time, fathers don't have time, or sometimes they even lack this supporting system that's available. And therefore, when they are able to get somebody online who gives them this attention, then all these things happen. So encouraging mothers and fathers to get closer to the adolescent, because that age, we know, is a very critical age. As for that age, nobody can really talk about it unless you yourself, you experience it, so you remember how it is. It's an age where things doesn't really, you are discovering yourself, who you are. And you always want validation. And that's why they need friends. They need so many people to tell them, you are beautiful, you are handsome, because then they feel confident and know who they are. And it's the same kind of attitude we want parents to really know and understand, that at this age, adolescents, your boys and girls need special attention. And that attention is not only in the physical world, but giving them an indication that the world out there on the internet is not as safe as they think. Because through your pictures and where people can trace you and get back to you. So I would just encourage that let's get closer to our girls, get closer to our boys, and then of course expand our message. Maybe that's where we need to do more. We need to expand our message and then let people know. I'm glad that we have put all these things online now. They are all available every day for anybody to watch. So when you go home and you're going through your lesson, just go to the video today, share it on your platform, share it with your friends, let them read, show it to your child, let them also understand all these things that we are talking about, because we are not that many in the system doing this education. And since this year is everywhere on YouTube and everywhere, let's share it, let our young people get to it and spread the message that online is not as safe as we think. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Sure.
Hello. Okay, so I think one of the big issues I've actually come across is what we call the social validation or social currency. You realize that the business module of Facebook, we call the Zuckerberg model in digital marketing, is about engagement. All right, so whenever you put anything on Facebook, earlier on, like in 2003, 2013, 14 upwards, everybody who is on your friends list will see the picture. All right, now, because of advertisement, that's been giving a lot of money, they are now killing what we call organic. Organic means that once you put something there, it's not automatic, everybody will see it. Now, Facebook is saying that your content will become viral, will be seen by many people if it's not boring. Boring means that it should be engaged. And what does it mean? Engaged means that people should like, people should comment, and people should share. So if I put a picture there on Facebook, the Facebook algorithm will give it to 10 people, sample 10 people, my friends, and look at their reaction toward that particular content. So if they like, if they comment, if they share, it means that content is entertaining enough to maintain many Facebook users to stay there. What do? The algorithm then pushes the thing up to several people so that they will start liking and commenting and all of that. Now, by that architecture, it means that if you are very normal, you are boring. If you take a normal picture, nobody will like it. If you do anything that is so normal, people say, oh, they will not like it. And when they are not liking it, they are going to automatically start hiding that thing from many people. Now, what is the other leg? The other leg is that young people want to be validated. So if I put a picture here and I come by 100 likes and 200 comments, it makes me feel good. And it's not even young people. I've seen pastors that told me that I put a preaching there and nobody was liking it, and I was sad. Pastors. So everybody wants that engagement, and young people want it. That is why when there is competition, what we call the social media challenge, every young person gets involved. Sometimes they get involved to the point of killing themselves. Because there is the need in every young person to be validated with a currency, which is social. They want people to say you are beautiful. They want people to say you are handsome. People to say you are creative. And when they are getting those things, they will do everything to make sure that thing happens. And Facebook is saying that for me to show this picture to many other people, then do things that will make people comment. So if it's crazy, if I will bring my cleavage up and make more guys like it, then that means I could go up. If I have to bring my bombs outside and do that, then that will make people like it. And that is the reason why most young people will even be aggressively doing crazy things online. Their parents get shocked because of the currency they are looking for. And that's one of the... So parents should do what? Parents should start validating them, as Mom was saying, more at that age than before.
Yeah, that emphasizes the aspect of what Madam Florence was saying about children doing this, not getting attention, the attention that they deserve from their parents and guardians. Madam Hilda, in our normal setting, when a child gets to puberty, now it's even earlier, some are going through it at 9 years and all that. You are taught how to keep yourself. If it's a female, if it's a guy, you are told your voice will break and all those things. Now we find ourselves in an era where we are talking about cyber hygiene. At what age do you think we should be talking to our children about these things?
Thank you very much. So you've rightly said that children are hitting puberty very much earlier. And there's an interesting thing I always think about. Growing up, you know, back in the days when a young boy is in love with a girl, and when we didn't have mobile phones, they will come around the neighborhood and throw a stone on top of the roof. And then when you hear the roof crack or some noise, you know that your boyfriend is around. And then you sneak out. But foolishly, you thought that when the stone hits the roof, you were the only one who heard it, and your mother and anybody else under the roof didn't hear it. But at least it was good because parents who also heard the same sound, knowing what that is likely to be, they monitor your movement around the room. And so if you went out, I'm out, that's the first reaction. And then you are compelled to stop. Sometimes the boy may even hang in there and probably never see you because you're also waiting to see when your parents' eyes will be off before you can sneak out. But now, with WhatsApp, all of you are having a conversation and somebody sneaks out quietly. And that's how dangerous it is. And so that also means that we must begin the conversation around sex very early on, especially immediately they hit puberty. And sometimes they don't even have to hit puberty because some of the children have become so matured very early on. I remember I was watching a movie, a Nigerian movie, and my 6-year-old daughter was with me. So they were kissing, and I immediately changed the channel. And then she said, "Mom, why did you change it?" I said, "They were being naughty." Sorry. I said, "They were being naughty." She said, "Is kissing being naughty?" And so, like Joyce said, immediately I didn't know what to say. You know, because then I called a friend and said, the next day I said, "Look at what he was asking." I didn't know what to say. Said, but that was the opportunity to begin to have a conversation. Because at least I didn't say kissing. I said they were being naughty. She said, "It's kissing naughty." Which means at least she understood what kissing is, right? So then, once you see that that child is matured, we need to start the conversation. Okay. So I could have gone around it differently. That kissing is not bad. It wasn't naughty. But it was done only by adults or at appropriate age. But I swear, and the reality comes back to me and say that I need to start that conversation. And so once we notice that the children are matured, we need to begin to have conversations. Now the point is that even as adults in love, we are being silly sometimes by sending our nude pictures to our adult lovers as adults. And some other married couples also sometimes are a bit silly because of the nude pictures that we see that they post to each other. And so the starting point will be us. We need to understand what we want to use the internet for as adults. And we also need to understand the risks that are there. So that our children who are growing up as who have puberty or once we notice that they are becoming matured, we need to be able to explain to them what can happen online and the risks that are associated with it, so that we should scare them enough. Now, let me also scare you a bit. In Ghana, we don't even have on top of our fingers the quantum of persons or the number of people who are trafficked in a year. So, but trafficking is happening, and people are being trafficked into prostitution. So, I recently had a neighbor who came to tell me she was so excited. Her daughter was going to Malta. I would not even have thought about that country. Malta. I mean, what on earth is your daughter going to do there? So some friends contacted her that there was a travel agency that was recruiting young girls who wanted to go abroad to Malta. And so she went to Malta. And the news we heard later was not a very pleasant one. But you see, it happened because there was news on the social media that a travel and tour company was recruiting. And sometimes even the media also even advertises it. There are a lot of risk that is being posed to our children. When they get to those places, they are forced into prostitution against their will. And often they are clueless that that's what will happen to them. And so we put them into danger if we do not understand the risk and the repercussions that it can bring to them. So once we understand, in our conversation with them about sex, and let me also use this opportunity to say it, if my boss was here, you would have said it. We need to move away from using the word child pornography. There's nothing like that. Because pornography actually is legal in some countries, all right? So immediately something is legal, and you say a child pornography, it's almost to say there's a legal aspect of it which also entertains children in that kind of industry. There is nothing like that. What we are seeing online is child sexual exploitation and abuse material. And that's the kind of language we must begin to use, so that we begin to feel the impact of how badly it's affecting our children. So we have people who know that children are very vulnerable. They use them, film them, and post them on the media. And so like one of the speakers said, you like, you share, you comment. And there are people, pedophiles, who only are also interested in child sexual abuse material. It's unpardonable. And those kinds of things, we need to have a conversation around it. Let our children see how dangerous it is. The point is, these things happen to them at the time that they are so innocent. They will grow up and realize that we as adults in our age did not protect them enough, and they will not forgive us. And that's the more reason why we must begin to talk about it. And that's the more reason why you should tell them they cannot accept an invitation from someone they don't know, because the person is likely to abuse them and ruin their lives forever. So that early conversation must be real and must start now.
Thank you. Yeah, sure.
So just to come in briefly and then reiterate Mr. Atta's issue of validating. It's innate with every human being that every human being wants to feel validated and loved and cared for. But this is even more deeper the younger you are. It is not just food and water that are basic needs. Love and care is basic need. And so as young as children are, every child comes with an emotional tank. And that emotional tank is empty to start with, just like their brains are empty. So that tank needs to be filled by the adults in their life, whether it is the parent, the caregivers, or whoever they are, the siblings. Everybody has to fill up that tank. Now, the problem we find is when children grow with an empty emotional tank, they look for that validation that they should have gotten from home, because this also supports their well-being and supports their confidence. So they grow with a high self-esteem. When they lose that opportunity, they now look out for it elsewhere on social media. Now, one other important thing is to note that we consume social media, or we sell out, literally, not perhaps sell for money, but then you either give out information or you consume information. And recently, research has proven the more you consume, the more tendency to be depressed. And so social media issue is now linked to how we use social media and spend hours out there, is linked to certain mental health conditions. And it's very possible, it's very frequent in children. We see a lot of young people suffering from depression and anxiety and panic attacks. And these are all results of how much hours they spend out there consuming social media that they are unable to interpret into the reality of life. So critically, parents is very important. Recently, in an engagement we had with parents, there was a parent that swore, and she literally was crying, that she has never hugged her children. And because she felt it wasn't traditionally okay, she felt it wasn't okay to express love, that kind of love. And she said to me, this will be the first time I'm going home and I'm going to hug my children. And she had to make that confession. It was all teary for her. Now, if we have this, and I believe we have a lot of similar parents, and maybe some of us may even be it. Now, you don't hug your child, you don't give kisses to your child, and somebody out there on social media is saying, sending you hugs, blowing you kisses. They are curious. They wonder, why is somebody sending me hugs? That sounds interesting. Now, this message, the brain interprets it and is going straight into the heart. It clicks a button, and the feeling is so great because the positive or the happy hormone is released. And the child feels like, whoa, why am I feeling differently? So they look out for, who is this stranger? And they want to meet up. If the stranger says, I'm meeting you up, they are ready and they're excited to meet up. So again, as parents, it's important we really do pay attention to the needs of our children. Not just food and water, their emotional need, especially in the crisis of social media and all the negative effects we are having on them. It's important we fill up their emotional tank and make sure they build confidence, so when they're on social media, whatever is being said to them, they have seen and heard 1,000+ of it from home. Mommy and daddy loves them, their siblings loves them, they blow them kisses all the time. So what they see out there really shouldn't mean much to them.
Thank you. As I said, sure.
That kisses from strangers are not acceptable. So that they know that when somebody starts blowing those things, a sign that that person needs to be blocked on their social media account. Because somebody who doesn't know you is not supposed to be blowing you kisses and things like that. Because that's the sign that you need to go out of my friends. You need to go out, because I don't like that from you. I don't need that from you. So if they are sure of who is supposed to give the kisses and hugs, then they know that if the person does it, it's not cool. And therefore they can say that you need to block the person and show them how to block people and show them how to report people. Because some people can harass you on the internet. Because if you do that, I know, so I'll just report you that you are harassing me. Because the things to select are there. And if you and let people also understand, if you post and nobody like, it didn't mean people didn't look at it. It didn't mean, a lot of people look at things, they don't say anything. Some of my friends, they will say, oh, madam, we are following you. I say, well, I don't see you. So it tells you that people are looking without saying like or laugh. It doesn't mean, after all, did you put it there for them? You just wanted to record something about yourself, and you have put it there. It's for you. So that one day to remind you, 10 years ago, look at how I've grown. You yourself, you are happy. You don't need somebody to tell you that you have grown. Be sure. Let them understand that they need to be confident in themselves. If you are beautiful, you don't need somebody to tell you. And we don't tell them enough. We don't tell them enough. So that's why they are there looking for. Because I just can't understand why you take her and go to Somenya and go and meet a boy. And then you are standing by the tree. You told the boy that I'm coming. The boy, so I'm wearing the yellow. Then you look at the boy and say, madam, then I came by. He was ugly. So if he was beautiful, does it mean that you would have stayed? Or handsome, does it mean that you have stayed? And the mother had no idea that this girl took her from Accra to go to Somenya to go and meet somebody. Can you imagine? If she has been kidnapped, we will never look for her in Somenya. We'll be looking for her in Accra. So please, be friends, talk to them. There's danger out there. Now the children are getting missing. And we don't know how to search for them. Because now you think they are in Accra. They've gone to Kumasi. to go and meet somebody. And it's a problem. So mothers, parents, we are always saying mothers because sometimes our fathers just don't want to be friends with us. That's why we are our mothers. It's not because we don't think fathers are important, but they also trust you more. So be their friends and let them know. So PTA meetings, let's discuss these things. Let it be on the agenda. It shouldn't be let it be, because now it's there. Nobody will employ anybody if they don't know how to use at least Word and all the things that are associated with it. What are you going to do at the office? Because everybody wants somebody who will help them bring smart solutions to the company. Therefore, as for the internet and things, they need to know. But knowing the right thing to do at the right time is something that we should never forget to tell them. And every day is an opportunity to teach them something new. I don't want to say let's wait for puberty. That's why I was just start. Because the boy I knew, that boy, 2 years he was playing games. So by this time, you know he'll be doing right now. I know he's downloading things. So he needs to know. Thank you.
This boy really made an impression on you. Well, you know, on the face of it, it sounds funny. It doesn't look scary. But when you ponder over these things, we are living in a world where we see development. We see the world expanding. But digitally, it's smaller than we think. So we really need to look at it. As I said, there's going to be an interactive session. So at this point, I want to bring you in. Anybody who has a question, has something to add, because it's not a lecture. It's for us to share knowledge so we can improve on what we are doing. So at this point, please, if you have something to add. Madam Ivy? Abigail? Madam Ivy? Abigail has a mic. No. There's no mic there. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Those of us who teach the children, are worried about this trend of parents driving their children out of the house to go fend for themselves and even bring money home. It's happening all over the country. The child is 13 years, 12 years. Even in Accra, you get it. The mother says, whatever. My guy is not good. If I don't cook, you don't eat. Your friends are going and bringing money, and you have to eat what I cook. So our children are forced to look after themselves. When we did monitoring for BEC, we had many of them who came back to write pregnant. In fact, they were made pregnant. I don't like saying that they got pregnant. Somebody made them pregnant. So they were made pregnant. And when we interview some of them, they are on their own. They are looking after themselves. So my question is, how do we, as teachers, collaborate with cybersecurity to tell these parents that in driving your children out, you're exposing them to pedophiles, to abusers who will use this gadget called the phone to entice them? If I'm not mistaken, the Takrady girls got lost. I think when investigations were going on, there was something about phone. I'm not sure how the story went. But let's collaborate to educate such parents. Most of them are in the urban and peri-urban areas who drive out their children to go look for, to sustain themselves and, if possible, the family. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Madam Ivy. Anyone who wants to take this one? Okay,
Okay, so I'll come in because of my work as a school counselor in the last 9 years and working with parents and teachers and other institutions to promote safe space for children. Now, with this issue, it's a very dicey issue because for majority of such parents, what is driving them is high rates of poverty. And you cannot just say, see, don't do this, I'm going to report you to the police, or I'm reporting to DOFSU, this is an abuse on the child, and blah, blah, blah. And when that happens, the parent will just withdraw the child. I'll share an experience that I had working in one of the regions where farming was very predominant. So during the farming season, the parent will stop all the children. They will literally pull them out of classroom because the children would have to be on the farm with them to help them. And we had to come in to see how we can develop an intervention to support these children. What we try to do is to create positive image for the parent to envision the future of the children. So we asked the parent, what do you wish to see in your child in the next 5 years, 10 years? What do you want in this child? And every single parent was envisioning the beauty of, I want my child to be this. Some say I want them to be wearing high heel, literally meaning in the banks and in the corporate environment. Others said, I want my child to be wearing, all sort of beautiful things. Then we connect them to the reality. Okay, what are you doing now as a parent that is going to give the same future that you just mentioned for that child? Then there is a pause. So usually there'll be a break. Now that short break is a conscientization period. That's what we call it. Because the parent is now asking, whoa, I think I'm making an error here. They are starting to see their own problem. So we don't go in saying you're wrong as a parent. No, it then brings a rebellious response. So you get nothing at the end of the day. Then they start to ask. So within that pause, we give them a short break. Then we start to ask, okay, now you and I, as a guardian of your child, you as a parent, let's work as a team. And then let's bring your child in. So working as a team is, we all agree, this is the future we want for this child. Now, are we doing the right thing? Well, there's a lot of no. So how do we correct the errors that we are doing at the moment? So that brings us to a dialogue positioning of speaking about what we are doing now that is going to affect that future. And then we bring the child in. What can we do? There is always an alternative. So it's to expose such parents to what other healthy alternative exists for your child. I'm not speaking about those out of the Venn diagram, the extreme end, because there are children, parents, and guardians, unfortunately, that I say they don't even deserve that title because they literally don't care. Like they are living in a hard knot world. They don't care what is going on with the child. These are parents who are able to give out the child and take money from other people. I'm not referring to such. I'm referring to parents who have conscience and who you are able to bring into board. And this forms the majority part of it. For those outside, the law is there to deal with such parents. You can literally just report such parents so the law can deal with them. But for those that can really reflect with you is to really engage them at a dialogue level so that they are able to come up with a better intervention.
Thank you. Yeah. Anyone else?
Yes, please. Memnat Yusuf. Your second question, I heard you have to trust. The children should talk to, if they don't talk to their parents, they should talk to those who they trust. Please, mine is not a question, but I want to add, majority of the parents, they are into corporate world. When they go to work, they don't even see the children till they come back. And secondly, we the teachers, we are their second parents. So please, if you are putting it in, I want you to put this inside, please. You treat your house girl or your house boy well, because when you go to work, although you download this thing you see your children doing, but if you maltreat your house workers, when you go, they will also maltreat your children. You would think they will be teaching them a good thing. They will call them and introduce them into such videos and the rest, and they will even try to practice with them. So please, I'm pleading with you, please kindly add it so that the parents who are into corporate world, who don't get time to talk to their children, when they treat their houseboy or when they train them well, when they are not there and they've gone out, if they see the children peeping into distance, they can correct them for them. That's my problem.
Thank you so much. Any more? Yes, ma'am. Abigail.
Please, my question is, some parents sometimes, when you have a relationship with your children, and your child does something bad, they can sometimes use it against you by insulting you. So with that one, how would the child be able to expose him or herself to the parent? Because when they do that, they end up using that to insult the child. So the child will be afraid to expose him or herself to the parents.
I don't understand what you're talking about.
Okay.
Because it does happen. Human beings, that's how we are. That's how we are. Because we like to remind people of the bad things they've done. We claim we have forgiven, but we always bring it back. So I think it's something that nobody really likes. I've learned something that, when you are married and you tell the other partner that this is not how it's supposed to be done, and the person doesn't listen, and it happens that you are correct, you don't say, I told you so. You keep your mouth shut, because then peace reigns and everything is quiet. In the same way, as a parent, you need to behave with your child. If your child does something wrong, or something has happened, and they begin to tell you what has happened, if you correct the issue, don't go back to it. Don't go back to it. It's because of that's why the same thing you did the other day, that's why that thing happened. And you are doing it again. No. If you do that, children will never trust you again. You will see they will not come to you again. You just have to let it go and then push on forward with a new behavior that you will reward for being good. If you keep on bringing the old sin over and over again, they will not come again, because nobody likes that. But we are fond of that, especially mothers. We like it. We used to do the insult. And when it doesn't even have anything to do with that thing, and you see that day, they will be moody. It has happened to me before, so I know. You will be moody, because the thing will pain you. Say, I didn't see it. But they have managed to find a way. Sometimes they even bring it to money devotion. They will bring it to money devotion and find a quotation to get you more. We don't do that. I say all things are passed away. Why do you want to bring the same back? So we need as parents to really ensure that we do not use the things or negative things to keep on reminding our children. If the thing is past, it's past. Let's look for reinforcement. This one. So don't do it like this, because we don't want it to go bad. So let's just chart the way forward. And thank you for bringing that on mind.
Thank you. You had You can.
That we will have to find a way to stop blaming girls for every bad thing. Because now we are beginning to have a serious challenge. We have child sexual exploitation people who have been arrested. The victims are unable to talk. You know why? Because when a girl is sexually abused, the first thing is to blame the girl. You're a bad girl. What did you go and do there? And meanwhile in Ghana, there's no place which is only the reserve of boys or men. Then what did you go and do there? We need to, as a society, just agree that that which is bad is bad. And it's not because the girl is a bad girl. And so now we are having problems with having the victims coming to testify against the abusers. When that happens, the abusers will get away. And the next time it will be your child. The next time it will be another girl. The next time it will be another girl. Because all the girls will be blamed. All the girls cannot talk. We will continue having abusers. Please, you get the picture, please.
Okay, so just a quick statement is to say we can unlearn the ways our parents or grandparents treated us, is to be able to separate issues from the personality. So if you have a problem with your child, don't hit it on them as a person and say, I hate you, or like, I'm not very good with the cheat, I won't try it. I don't like what you did. So instead of saying, I hate you for what you did, you rather carry the issue out. I hate what you did, but I love you. Immediately you have to be able to tell the person, reinforce that I still care about you, but I don't like what you did. And if we try to separate the person from the behavior that you don't like, it really helps in behavior modification. You see that the person is able to say, well, mommy or daddy doesn't like what I did, but then they still love me. Then the brain captures both information, which is very important.
The last one.
Yeah. I'm Stephen.
Okay.
From Ghana National Council of Private Schools. My brother mentioned a tool which is very useful, that is parental control on most gadgets. In my situation, I have children that I have set it up for them, and they hold the gadget for about 3 hours, and it blocks them because that's the time they are supposed to be on it. Now, if there is such a simple tool, which can be found on TVs, on phones, on computers, why is it that as a nation we are not trying to educate as many people as possible to use this simple tool before all these others come in? Because if you're able to enlighten people to activate it, it will help a lot. At least to some extent, children are protected before they come in to educate, because it blocks them from dangerous sites and other things like that. So please, how are we able to get as many parents as possible to be aware of this simple tool and to activate them on their gadgets and on websites? Thank you.
Thank you very much. And I am happy you are from private schools. You give us, you have access to a lot of schools that are in your association or in the group. And the reason why I think this morning we came from different areas is to listen to the information out there and then share it. So please, in your platform, you can just share it with everyone that, have you tried this app? It helps, so that you can they can start using it. Because if it helps, then they will share it with another parent, from one parent to the other. Most of us belong to a lot of group, classmates group and things like that. Because it's something that when you go to meetings like this, it's good that you just write 1 or 2 things that you think will be critical to the group and then share on those platforms so they too can benefit from the experience. So whatever we are learning here, and I'm glad that we are from PTA councils, because it gives us the opportunity to ensure that the issue of child online protection is always on our agenda of our meetings. It's not only about the school fees that parents are not paying. It's not only about the fact that they come to school late, but worrying about their cyber health. Because after all, if they go and do something and an image goes out there, your school name will be mentioned. And where did they go to school? This is Montessori school. Hey, that school, no, I'm not taking my child there. Even though it's not your fault, it will be linked to you. And that's why we are all here, so that you just put these issues on the agenda of everything that you are doing. It can be part of the things you are teaching. Because I know there's now a school digital literacy game that exists. Where are you going to incorporate it into your system when school reopens? Or whilst you are doing classes on Zoom now, I think it's imperative that at even 30 minutes every day that people are doing Zoom classes, let's have something about online safety. Because as they use the Zoom, the likelihood that somebody will bomb them, because we have it about it, right? Because I heard somebody complain that when they did the Zoom, somebody came in naked. So they had to quickly shut the class down. And they don't know how it happened. So a lot of things can happen online where it's supposed to be safe. That's why you should let your people or your students know that this is the other world. That when there can be a bomb in your Zoom meeting, and you have to know exactly when to leave. It's not that when they are going to open their eyes and watch everything that the person is doing. They have to know quickly that that is not appropriate. So I have to shut it down and go on. So please, we are doing our best. Look at this 1 month celebration. Trying to get everybody informed for the next 1 month about cybersecurity. But we are not everywhere. We can't go everywhere. That's why we need you. Please also make it a need in your system. Make it a need in your school. Make it a need in your home. Because if your children are safe and meet to our practice, then we are reaching more people over and over. So that's what I would like to say about that. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll come back to you for your closing remarks, but I'll take you, then Mr. Ajiti Suwa, then we can wrap up. Yes, ma'am. You can.
Thank you very much. I'm also coming from the National Council for PTAs. And I want to say this, that on the issue of parents scolding their children, we should always try to highlight their strength and then use their strength to curb their weaknesses. That way, they will feel loved and then cared for. Another issue is that I think we should build capacity for us to educate our young children right from the primary schools to SHS, even universities, for them to know the dangers involved in this kind of cyber security issues. And then again, looking at the senior high schools, we know there is a ban on the use of mobile phones. Another aspect of it is, do we think we should lift that ban? And then if it should be lifted, why and how can we manage our children? Since they need to do some kind of research. And then not forgetting the dangers that comes with the use of mobile phones in schools. Because even though it was banned, some of them still sneak mobile phones to schools. And they use it adversely. Look at what happened during the SHS3 examination. They used it to record a lot of things, and then it became an issue in the country. So I think we should be looking at these areas to help us. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, it looks as if today parents have had it. We thank the panelists. I want to ask this question, that supposing a parent, perchance, goes to see a child surfing, but realizes that the child is surfing in an undesirable area, what kind of attitude should a parent display to the child in terms of correcting the child? And then also, my sister has spoken about capacity building. We really need the National Cybersecurity Center to help us build our capacities, especially at our AGMs. So think of that one too. Thank you.
Ojo, you're the last person.
Thank you very much. First, to thank you, Madam Larato and your team, for something as great as this. I'm Kojo from the Ministry of Education. Just a few comments and one question for you. So the one, it came up with one of our contributors. The simple ways, I'm thinking that there could be simple ways to help parents. For the most apps, we can consider exploiting that. Ima, you spoke about those simple things. Stephen of NACOF said the same thing. I think we should make a conscious effort of, this thing is worrying me. So we should make a conscious effort to get the simple apps, the most used apps. Android, we have Samsungs, Technos. These are the ones that are most used. So the devices itself and the ones that, people go onto a lot. You have your Facebooks and other things. I think we should make just a conscious effort to exploit ways with the do's and don'ts. And I'm thinking, Madam Larato, working with the MOE, we could come up and do maybe in our local languages. So we have 11 now local languages. Let's make that effort so that there are snippets that a parent who can speak English or not can be able to do that. So that's one. Also, is there any way MOC you could also help us prop up action? And I'm thinking it could be reminders, and even we can do fun, the fun-filled way of it. So, for instance, could we have reminders at no charge, to all mobile users? And it can be simple, daily, things that say simply if you could click this link, you could activate. If you could do this, you could. And some of them can also be voice activated. And for me, we can even do the parental challenge. And one of the things we've discovered, the digital natives, that is the children, we can do really to help, is to make them their own ambassadors. There's nothing like giving the child that job and say, today you are in charge of the house. They get up at 4 a.m. I mean, I've tried it with my kids. It's unbelievable. So look, when you come home as a parent, in that minute or two, 5 minutes, what happened online today? Tell me. And if there are 2 or 3, then you are lucky. Put one in charge and say, today, what did everybody do online? You'll be amazed at how the kids take up this challenge. So let's find ways of getting those digital natives who are in there to be their own leaders and their own ambassadors. I think that would be a great way to do it. Now my question. And it's so important because there's a study now during because of the COVID that people sitting idle could be the most susceptible to all these things happening online. And so it raised now the issue about people living with disability. It's a very big issue we should look at. So my question is, any special provision for persons living with disability, particularly those who are not that mobile? Thank you very much.
Well said, Kojo. Thank you. So I'll come back to my panelists in 30 seconds. Kindly give us your closing points. And I will appreciate it if you can capture some of the in your closing. So, Madam Hilda, I'll start from you.
So I will wrap up by saying that there are a couple of things that UNICEF is doing to ensure that we educate as many people as possible about the dangers or the risk online. One of it is that very soon UNICEF, in collaboration with the Ghana Education Service, will be rolling out the digital literacy program. Most of the schools are running IT programs, and so we'll roll out a digital literacy program to ensure that every teacher, every student, every people are aware about the risk online. The second thing is that we have community tools that a lot of the departments, such as Department of Children, Community Development, Social Welfare, are using to engage community people around the risk online. And then, of course, we have our popular Ghanaians Against Child Abuse program, which is also has a component on online risk. And all the intention is to educate as many people and create that awareness. I think that we'll take on board seriously and look at that with the National Cybersecurity Center, how we can translate some of these things into local language. Suffice me to say that most of the facilitators who are engaging people at the community level are using local medium, local language to engage. But we would look at how we can deepen it, even in terms of literacy for persons who can read and understand some of these things. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and I must say I've enjoyed this panel. One of the things that I would like to say and also agree with our last speaker from the Ministry of Education is the issue of the push message from our communication people, because it's critical that those messages keep on coming to us to warn us about dangers. I think I even said that maybe even at the back of what's the name of the scratch cards, we can even have the point of contact numbers there for people to know that any issue you have, report to 292, so that the point of contact become very popular. Because now they send so many things that you haven't even requested for to you. How many times would Tigo and will not send you any messages that somebody even is calling you, pick your phone and somebody just speaking? So we need to ensure, how do we take advantage of that? I think it's something that I agree, of course, and I endorse the point about making content available for persons with disability, and especially the children, because they also a critical group. They also like the selfies a lot, because it's something that sort of validates them, so we need to really look at that. And just ending by saying that the opportunity we have here is a huge one. You see, intensity, because I haven't had this interaction with so many people from PTAs like this in my life. Normally I'm meeting only one PTA, But to have a council of PTAs and a lot of people from group like this is an opportunity. And so the ideas that we have put that are implementable in your area, please take it forward. And then call for backup anytime you think that you need them, so that it will help you build the skills that we require to communicate with parents and children about online protection. Thank you very much.
So, Oxford, my final comment is the internet is here to stay. It has a lot of benefits. Okay, we can't run away from it. And it has risk. Normally, what parents will do is that they do three things. And I call it IM. I mean that they will ignore. Because if you talk to parents who are overwhelmed with the changes, they are tired. They are tired. They can't run it, so they are tired. And anytime I tell parents that if you ignore it, you make the problem bigger. So you are standing on the highway and you close your eyes and cross because the cars are coming, they won't allow you to cross. Then you close your eyes and say you are ignoring the problem. The second thing you can also do is to avoid it. To avoid the one, most parents are restricting their children from using the device in the first place. So once they are not using the device, I don't have this headache. And that also tell me that you are restricting them from all the major opportunities your children will have. Some of them can have art that can open greater doors for them. But by just avoiding them, they won't be able to have those opportunities. The last point is about managing. Okay, so we have to manage. Okay, so we can't avoid, we can't ignore, we can just manage. And we can manage by using all the tools that have been given to us here to go and make better parents with our children. Thank you.
Okay, so in my concluding statement, I think I'd like to address the question raised by Mr. Charles, if I got the name correct. It's usually when we try to modify behavior and you use an aggressive means, what it means is that you may or may not get the desired response you're looking for, but then be rest assured it's going to be temporal. Whatever change that your child would show you would be what mommy and daddy or bigger sisters and brothers wants to see. So they would have a dual personality if you keep using aggressive means to change their behavior. What is very relevant is to use reinforcement. First and foremost, build a trusting relationship and start to dig into the why. The why digging is where most of us really fail because we are too busy, we don't have time, we are so impatient, we are overwhelmed by our own stress, so we just don't have time to dig into the why because it's a lot of work and a lot of effort. But this is where you connect with your child. When you ask, why did you do it and what led you into it, you do the digging with the child by allowing them to come up with the reasons. When they start to validate their own reason, then you know that they are into a problem that they need to be helped out of it. And you would find them come into a realization of, I don't even know why I did it. I think I was influenced because my friend said it or somebody said it. Then you know that there's a third party that is influencing your child. Alternatively, you could also be that the child is just curious. Then you take an opportunity to expose them to a similar thing but a healthy one. So that way, digging into the why is very important. You are not using an aggressive means at this point, but then you are allowing a permanent change in behavior because once your child gets to appreciate and understand that this is wrong and not because my mom or my dad said so, but because I think and I believe is wrong, that is when you get a permanent change in behavior. Either in your absence or in your presence, the child knows this is wrong and wrong is wrong. And to finally say that I am really thankful for this opportunity. And each one of us, since we are representing either ourselves or our groups and our organizations, should and must be a carrier of whatever we are discussing here today. In your own little corner, starting with our own children at home, with our own younger siblings, we need to replicate this information. The negative information flies very fast, and before we can catch up with it, ourselves need to replicate the positive information and ensure that where there is a negative information, there is a positive message that is coming to counteract that negative information. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. I just want to add that one of the main mandates or key responsibilities of the National Cybersecurity Center is to ensure awareness creation and capacity building. And even before COVID, the center was taking invitations and also approaching schools and PTA associations for interactions. We did a couple of schools before COVID, but that opportunity is still there. If you're a PTA, you're a school, even a residents association, and you think you need education in this area, you can reach out to the center and we'll arrange for a team to come and take you through. This is an ongoing conversation. As I said earlier, the space keeps changing. Technology changes by the second. Size-fits-all solution to this, especially when it also has to do with children who also change as they grow. So the center is open to these invitations. Call on the center anytime and we'll come to you either physically if it is appropriate or virtually to take you through some of these things. On this note, I will thank my panelists. You've been a great lot. Thanks so much for your incisive contributions and the education you've given us here so far. And to participants, we are so grateful for your comments, your contributions. Thank you so much. On behalf of the center, I'd like to thank everyone here today. Thank you for being part of this program. And like I said, this is an ongoing conversation. It shouldn't end here. Let's keep talking and making sure that our children are safe online. Thank you so much. I think we have more than that. We can do better than that. So we'll bring today's event to a close. Thank you so much once again. There's packed lunch in the foyer. So thank you so much. And we hope to be seeing you. We hope to get invitations from you, your school, your association, for us to do this together. Thank you.
Really would I said, what do me, me do, what pay me, me pay, what to, what show me, what do me, pay me, check, what do. I said, what pay me, me pay, what do me, me do, what to, what show me, Bramin China, you won't come on. Baby, say, what find me, chimpa. Could I want to make the better one, my boy? It is a motion of my phone. Fetch me na minye bio. Na minye bio. Musubanyen so me pe was Sahara. Me do want to make the better